Wizard101. I'll stop. That was cringe. Why did I do that? Hey guys, what is up? AwesomeTheSauce here. Hope you guys are having an awesome day. And today we are going to talk about the top 5 things that I really miss about the old Wizard. No, but seriously though, Wizard101 has served such an awesome purpose in my life. It's brought me an amazing family on YouTube. You know, y'all kind of, grind my gears. I get frazzled every now and then, but it's more of like, like, I'm your brother, so I'm just gonna yank your cock type of thing. Like, it's that type of thing. I don't have a brother. I don't know. I'm an only child, but But, it's given me more than that. And I thought I would focus on that part of the game in this video. So without further ado, welcome to the top 5 reasons why I really miss some of the things in the old Wizard101. I think for me, the very, one of the things that really comes to mind when I talk about, why I come back to this game and what I even miss about this game, why I mean so much is because I really loved the feeling of getting a new spell. It's one of the things I miss about Wizard101 so much. And I know that a lot of people are going to be like, well, you do get new spells, like you quest up, you get a lot of spells. What are you complaining about, my man? I just think that it felt very different before. The quests to get spells, they used to be, very long. They used to be really hard to do. They used to take multiple dungeons. Now you just defeat a boss and you get the spell and they slap a shadow pip on it and it's really overpowered, I think the last time I really had this feeling of like, being excited to get a spell was when Avalon came out with all of those new spells. I think since then the game has really hit a point where none of the new spells are really that great, and I'll tell you why. It's because the pip cost is getting too high and shadow pips are becoming too broken. I think if anything, if I were to suggest something to bring that part of the nostalgia back for me, it would be to make another world, sure, but introduce more utility spells. Avalon gave 2 utility spells to every school, and for some schools, it really changed the dynamic. Backdraft changed Fire's role as a hitter in multiple scenarios in future worlds. Snowdrift made Ice a perfect counter to balance in PvP. Mana Burn and Supernova made balance undefeatable in level 76 PvP, and arguably even above. Guardian Spirit plagued the game for years, and it became a very useful spell in both PvP and PvE, and I could keep going. Bad Juju, I could go with Healing Current, I could go with all Shift. There are all kinds of spells in all kinds of schools, and honestly it was really exciting. For the first time in a long time, the game actually felt very different. And because utility spells don't necessarily need a lot of animation, and they don't necessarily need a lot of extra texturing and work, they just do things. Like, small things mechanically. I feel like that would be something that Wizard101 could really add to make me love playing the game just as much as I did back then. That's all I'm saying. That's my bad. Now, number 4, it's just not something that Wizard101 can fix, but I really hope the community fixes. And if you're a very old-time player, you'll actually know exactly what this is. So back in the olden days, you would go into the dye shop, and chances are you probably won't see that many people here, right? There's 0 people. But you would find, to your shock, that if you went to Wu Realm, the very last realm in your book, there'd be several people. And even today, there are a few extra people they just don't expect. Realm Wu Dye Shop was a thing that was always crowded. This place was crowded. And what I really miss is a nice hangout spot that we could have as a community. Now, I'm not sure. Maybe it moved. It was never really a spoken thing. But what I do remember was that it was really fun meeting new people, setting up questing parties, finding new friends to quest with sometimes, maybe running a dungeon with people from here. This was a great place to go if you were anybody in this game. And I really wish that something like this still existed. It really doesn't anymore. There's no real hangout spot when it comes to the dye shop or the Wu Realm, Again, this might be something that it doesn't really seem relevant to you at all, especially if you're a newer player, but this place was literally packed. I'm not even exaggerating. It was literally packed. Like, there were wizards everywhere. And that's something I really miss. Now, this is one of those things on this list that KingsIsle can't really fix. But I really hope the community can. So let me know what you guys think about that. Should we make a new spot? Should we make a new spot so we all hang out all the time? I mean, I'm just saying, we should do something about this, please. Number 3. What I really miss about this game is something about PvP, and I know a lot of you guys are probably thinking, yeah, you just missed when there were no shadow spells. Oh, nerd. No. But actually, though, this is actually a point that I don't think people talk about. And this is why one of the main reasons I'm even making this video. This is like very high on the list, right? Number 3. What I really miss about PvP is that there is no more diversity in PvP. And what do I mean by that? Well, nowadays, for every level, there is a best gear set. That wasn't always the case. You know, you would buy maybe Bazaar gear, you'd get a random drop, you would grind for arena gear maybe at different levels, you know, right now, maybe past level 50, there's a logical, like, waterworks gears for level 60 and above, maybe zigzag, and until then, level 90, it's Tartarus gear, then level 100 it's Darkmoor gear, you know, it's gotten to the point where every wizard has the best stats. Like, there is an ideal best stat, you know, and I think the reason why this really happened is because Darkmoor made the gear sets so overpowered compared to everything else in this game that nobody wanted to do anything else ever. You know, before, at least, you know, if you wanted Hades gear, you would rock Hades gear, but you might craft some gear. You might craft the hat from Chrysalis instead of using the Hades hat. You might wear Jade gear as part of your setup. You might do a lot of things. But now, if you're at max level, you want a Wart Pet, full Darkmoor gear, you want the Darkmoor amulet, and you want PvP Athame and PvP ring, and the wand is whatever. I mean, maybe the wand is a little diverse. That's the only real thing that may be diverse. You could also argue that the boots, you know, a little bit more diverse because, you know, but at the end of the day, you guys get what I'm saying. You know, there used to be more diversity in strategies, that's for sure, but everyone knows that already. Shadow Pips completely ruined that in PvP. But more importantly, there needs to be better gear. What is the solution to this, you may ask? Well, one huge thing, make crafting relevant again, please. I'm begging you. Like, that is one thing that I'm really missing out on. The only crafting thing that makes this game remotely relevant right now are wands. So if you're level 120 or level 125 and you want to create a great wand, go for it. But that's the only thing keeping this game even remotely diverse. That's one of the main reasons why wands are still so different depending on who you are. I think crafting needs to be a very regular thing. I think there needs to be good crafting alternatives to everything. One really important distinction the crafting gear made to regular gear, back when Chrysalis and Darkmoor were, you know, before Darkmoor and it was just Chrysalis and Tartarus gear, was accuracy versus pierce, pip chance versus resist. You know, there's always trade-offs. And it was really interesting to see what you would mix and match to get the best result for you. I think everyone has a different playstyle, and to force everyone into this weird-ass, let's wait for a Shadow Pip, Shrike, and hit type of strategy, it really removes from how interesting PvP can be. I definitely think that if you add more spells that are utility-based and add more gear sets that are crafting-based with really good alternatives, there could be a huge rejuvenation in PvP that we have never seen, and we just haven't seen yet. And I really think complicating the game more with more and more shadow spells, rather than complicating the game more with more gear sets, is where KingsIsle's really taking a false step. But that is why PvP is a number 3 thing that I miss the most about the old Wizard101. I'll stop. That was cringe. Why did I do that? Now, my next point is going to sound a little bit hypocritical because I just talked about gear diversity, but I think it's a really important point because, honestly, I might not care as much about gear diversity if there was more gear diversity in terms of, like, strength of gear throughout the years. We haven't had a really good set of gear to wear since level 100, and we're about to be at level 130. Last time there's been a 30 level difference in the best gear was never. We've never had a point in time where level like 80s are wearing 50 gear. We've never had a point where, you know, a level 50 is going to be wearing level 20 gear. It just doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. And at the end of the day, the problem is we don't have challenging dungeons anymore. And that's what I really miss. We need more challenging dungeons like Tartarus and Waterworks just for the sake of getting more endgame items that are more powerful. And what do I mean by more powerful? That's a really, really important question, right? If KingsIsle were to do this, to replenish how people feel about this game, you need to bring back the Tartarus, the Waterworks vibe. Back then, these dungeons were no joke. They were really, really hard to do. You'd spend entire afternoons and fail in a run, and it was great. That's what we need again. And the reason they were so hard is because they had really, really good drops. So if you are going to make gear, right, what do I suggest you do? Make the health a lot bigger. Try to target things that regular gear right now doesn't really do. For example, Darkmoor gear doesn't really give Pierce on the road. It just doesn't. Why not add a little bit of Pierce and get rid of other things? Maybe get rid of some accuracy. Maybe get rid of some pip chance. Maybe, you know, you can add a lot of health and reduce a lot of resist. And then maybe it'll be a good trade-off. Some people love health and some people love resist. It would actually bring variety to the game. Once again, you don't have to ruin the game by adding a dungeon with new gear. You can make small changes like just giving a lot of health so that someone who's level 125 is maybe a little bit more distinguishable from somebody who's a level 100 besides just natural health differences. That's what I really, really want. And the reason I really want this is because what I miss a lot is grinding out these dungeons. There's no end game content right now besides PvP. I don't care what anybody wants to say about fishing, gardening. Don't even say monstrology, hoes. I do not want to hear it. That is the end game right now. That is the end game scenario. It's PvP. And honestly, the only reason PvP is the end game scenario is because that's the only thing you can really do with all the gear that you spent all those years farming for. We need another Amulet of Divine. I've said this in previous videos, but more importantly, we just need a really challenging dungeon with really, really powerful drops so that we can have a lot of people coming back and grinding the game to be the very best again. That's what drives a lot of people in this game, and I don't think KingsIsle realizes that, and that's why, to me, in some ways, I do miss the old Wizard101, and it's become a little stagnant, you know? I'm just saying. Wizard101 has always been a game for children, and I get that. But very, very related to my last point, my number one thing that I miss the most is the act of feeling challenged, alright? And what I mean by that is, yeah, sure, you know, you have Omen. I guess it's a really, really hard dungeon. You have Medulla. I guess depending on who you are, it might be a really hard dungeon. You know, you have a lot of bosses now that are really hard. I think the problem is they don't really feel challenging as much as they do feel grindy. For example, when you go into the Beastman Fight Club, it's not a challenge as much as it is a grind. I think right now what KingsIsle is doing a lot is raising health a ton, and that's fine. You can raise health naturally, but to be honest, like, I don't really care if a boss has 100,000 health if their cheats are very, very easily, you know, overthrown. What I really, really miss are challenges like Tartarus. I really don't see why we don't have bosses that just do a ton of damage every few rounds so that you have an element of having to be fast. You know, like I think that's the problem. Right now, if you can have Omen runs last hours. That's not challenging. The true intention of a challenge should be to make a really hard fight, but it's possible to do it very, very quickly if you're coordinated. That's the problem. Right now, you can be very coordinated, and because of the state of the game right now, challenges aren't like that. So I want the grindy feel to be taken away from a lot of these stone keys, skeleton key bosses, or whatever they're called, or, you know, even end game bosses. And I really, really want something that I can throw myself into. And obviously, there should be a really good reward for these challenges. I really don't remember the last time I had a challenge in this game besides Darkmoor Part 3. You know, like the end of Darkmoor. You know, that's the last time I felt challenged in this game. And you know that's a problem when I was a freshman in high school and I'm done being a freshman in college. That's the last time I actually felt challenged in this game. You know there's a problem when that's the case. Darkmoor came out 4 years ago. I don't think enough people even realize that. It came out a long, long time ago. And I think the problem is, if we don't have a challenge for 4 years, obviously people aren't going to come back. And obviously people are going to miss the old Wizard101 and blame the current state of the game as being stale and unplayable. What I do want to end this video by saying is these are all suggestions and these are all things I miss about the old Wizard101, but there are tons of updates in the new Wizard101 that I love. Countless, in fact. I have to say, like, when they added the Bazaar, you know, that's new in terms of Wizard101. It was insanely awesome. They've added so many new things in the past. This graphics update, incredible. Every time they actually did add a dungeon, like even Darkmoor, I know a lot of people have a problem with it. I have a bigger problem with Shadow Pits and the actual gear. It was a lot of fun for me to actually farm. It took me years to get the full gear set on all my characters. It took me years to get all the amulets on all my characters. I'm really happy that they made it like that. So as far as past updates, KingsIsle hasn't really messed up that much, and they've created a great game. I just think they've been on a little bit of a slump, and I really, really hope that very, very soon, and as quickly as possible, they fix that. Now, guys, these kind of videos only work if you guys comment telling me what you miss about Wizard101 so that KingsIsle can possibly see it. But what's more important to me is that you join the Curry Muncher family so we can go on this Wizard101 and other game adventures together, my mans. So drop a sub if you enjoyed, drop a like if you enjoyed, and if somebody hasn't told you that you're awesome today, they doing something wrong, my mans. I love each and every one of you, and so stay awesome, bruh. Yeah, y'all.